What's going on, everyone? We're here after the Padres just got eliminated from the NLCS against the Philadelphia Phillies, where the Phillies took 4 games to the Padres' one. And although the series didn't go our way, I think after a day of kind of being able to rehash our thoughts and give a concise and accurate take of what we saw transpire, um, I thought it was a successful season, and I thought even if it didn't go our way, I thought it was a successful postseason. We were able to knock out the 101 win Mets and the 111 win Dodgers. Unfortunately, not the 87 win Phillies, but that's how baseball goes, man. The Padres unfortunately ran into their mere team, the team that and went in as the underdogs and got hot at the right time. So they ran into their mere match and they weren't able to beat them. Um, Chase, you probably know the first question, and I think we both have very similar thoughts to this. The big question is, are you putting in Josh Hader for a 6-out save? Something he hasn't done in how long did you say? 2 or 3 years? Are you doing that?
No, but I think that was the right call. I mean, Suarez had did it a couple times already in the postseason this year. He went out for 2 innings and absolutely shut down the other team. I know you've mentioned it in the group chat multiple times. We've had arguments amongst friends about this, but Bryce Harper has had 2 barrels on that pitch the entire season, and sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the guy. It wasn't a bad pitch. Bryce just is that good, and he got to it. Realistically, if it was anyone other than Bryce, it would have been an out. We saw basically what happened after Bryce. He shut down the next 3 guys. It's just Bryce Harper. Sometimes you got to tip your cap to the guy that's better. And in this instance, Bryce Harper did his thing. I stand by Bill Mellon that Suarez is the probably the right guy to go about it. If you wanted to change pitchers, you don't go to Hader in that instance. You save Hader for the 9th inning because that's when you need him. You probably go to Tim Hill, which hindsight bias, you probably put Tim in Hill. You put Tim Hill in against Bryce Harper, but even then, how much do you trust Tim Hill against Bryce Harper?
Yeah, and I see Jaron, he disagrees, and that's fine. You can disagree. I completely understand if you disagree. I think there's two solid sides to this. One being, you haven't used, and I'm with Chase. You haven't used Josh Hader in a few days. You traded a lot to get him. You want to be able to put him in a situation where shit, we need our best guy, or at least one of our best guys, on the mound. But you know who your best guy has been throughout the postseason? Throughout almost the whole regular season, it's been Robert Suarez. And I think a lot of people are mad at the decision for what? You look at it, people are being loud outside. I'm sorry. Um, you look at it, Robert Suarez's numbers against lefties are not bad. They're actually pretty damn good. And then you look further into it. Bryce Harper, the worst pitch the pitch he hits the worst so far this year in 2022 was the sinker. He threw a sinker outside of the zone, not outside of the zone, on the outer part of the zone. That exact pitch that he threw this year against righties, Bryce Harper has 0 barrels against. 0 barrels. I don't think there's an argument. I think there's a sense of people are going to be angry because of the outcome. And sometimes in baseball, the right decision doesn't provide the right outcome. I thought it was the right decision. He's gotten 6 outs already, once or twice this postseason itself, once against the best lineup in baseball. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the future Hall of Famer and say, good at bat, good swing. Because you know what? He hadn't done that all season, not against a righty. He hadn't put a barrel on that exact pitch against a righty all season. And he did it this time when the team needed him most. Sometimes you tip your cap, good at bat, good game. The superstar came through. And that's it. There's no reason to place blame on Bob Melvin for game 5. I can't think of a single person to blame. I thought they played good baseball. The other team just played better baseball. I mean, Trent Grisham placing a bunt in the 9th, absurd, but that's one of those things where shit, if he gets it down, we're thinking he's a genius. That's the thing with baseball, is that there's so much that goes into it. Whereas in football, you kind of see something happen, you're like, you kind of know Marshawn probably would have scored on the 1 yard line. If this guy catches it, they win, stuff like that. But in baseball, there's every single pitch is going to be criticized. Every single decision is going to be maximized and looked at through a magnifying glass, like very closely looked at. And I personally think it is unfair to judge Bob Melvin for leaving Robert Suarez in there.
And if anything, what Jason mentions here, just don't pitch to Harper. Intentionally walk Harper and go after the guys after him, which hindsight, yeah, you probably should have done that. Harper's been the best bat in the lineup. He's been the hottest. Avoid pitching to Harper. The next three you guys go down pretty easily. See, we can't say anything because we have hindsight bias. What if Hader goes in there and Harper takes Hader deep? Would we be having this conversation? We'd probably be saying, why would you put in Hader right there and not keep Suarez in? He's been the better pitcher. He's gone the 2-anything. We can't say anything because that's not what happened.
Yeah, that's completely true, man. Hindsight bias is a crazy thing, especially in baseball. Like, you don't have to place blame on every single pitch, on every single decision. You really don't. Sometimes the player's just good. He pitched. You had one of the best relievers, quite possibly the most valuable reliever in the postseason, in all of baseball. In all of baseball, he was fantastic. Everyone was saying, wow, who's this Robert Suarez guy? He started to have buzz on his name. Like, he was doing things that I can't think of another reliever that I've seen do that type of thing. So sometimes you just got to say, damn, a Hall of Famer beat us. And that's that. That's all that happened. A Hall of Famer beat us. Maybe a first ballot, the NLCS MVP, a 2-time MVP, one of the best hitters ever. A guy that was the phenom before he even came into the league. A guy that really made me say, despite me loving him for so long, a guy that really made me say, this is the first time I can say I hate Bryce Harper. Despite him being my favorite player for so long. And that was the reason why he was one of my favorite players for so long. My favorite player for so long. Because he does that kind of stuff all the time. He is that good. And it's unfair to criticize Bob Melvin in that situation, considering Josh Hader had not been in that role for a long time. One argument I can think of in favor of Josh Hader is, all right, Josh Hader is going to be going up against the heart of the order, a guy with massive strikeout potential that can, probably get you out of the inning, possibly. I mean, like Chase said, everything's kind of in a hindsight view. What if he gives up a home run? What if he gives up those hits? Then it's, oh man, Bob Melvin's an idiot for bringing in Josh Hader. And then it's Robert Suarez has gotten 6 outs in the postseason before. Why didn't they let him do it again? That's the whole thing, man. It's just it's very hard for me to be critical on Bob Melvin, considering there's always going to be two sides to it, and I don't think the criticism is fair.
The bunt criticism is completely fair.
100%. Oh yeah.
I don't know what you're doing there, and also why you don't pinch hit Alfaro for Nola right there. Alfaro has been the guy in the 9th inning. He's gotten you multiple walk-off hits. He lives for that moment. You pinch hit him there. You have to pinch hit him there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing end to the season. Padres got beat, man. Padres got beat, and it's that simple. They ran into the team they didn't want to run into. Bob Melvin, yeah, he didn't manage the best postseason, but he's still a little fresh to the postseason in a sense. There's a lot to look forward to for this team, man. I really hope that Robert Suarez doesn't opt out. He pitched fantastic all season throughout the postseason, and yeah, you could say I'm willing to go down with Josh Hader, but I think looking at the season in a nutshell, I'm willing to go down with Robert Suarez as well. The guy's just good, man. That guy Bryce Harper, he's on possibly the greatest tear of his postseason career, of his career, not postseason career, of his career. He's on possibly the greatest one, and he got beat by a Hall of Famer. I wouldn't want to get beat by anyone else. Hats off to Bryce Harper. Hats off to the Phillies. Congratulations for making it. Nonetheless, I thought this was a positive season for the Padres. I thought there were a lot of great takeaways. I thought there were a lot of great takeaways. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's a resilient team that's hungry. And one thing I appreciate is that in the middle of the season, or well, like September-ish, we had to acknowledge that they had been playing some very selfish baseball. That we didn't think they were coming together as a team to win together. It felt like they were kind of statistics driven. It felt a lot like 2021, where guys were starting to just play for themselves and not for each other. After the Diamondback series, or I believe it was during or after a Diamondback series, Bob Melvin went into them, man, and he got this team riled up. He got them together, and from that point on, this team really finally started to play like a team, and they were hungry. And that's what I love so much, is that this team was hungry. They were underdogs. They wanted it so bad. And you could see the pain when they came up short. But that's what I want to see. I want to see him hungry. I want to see him want to win so bad that it hurts to lose. Because it hurt us. It hurt us. And you could visibly see that it hurt them, man. I mean, the things they were saying after the game, it crushed me personally. I thought it sucked, but nonetheless, very encouraging to see that they really want it really bad, man. So I couldn't be more appreciative of the season and of my favorite Padres team, quite possibly my favorite sports team ever, the 2022 San Diego Padres.
Yeah. Realistically, though, you made it further than you thought you were going to in the postseason. You didn't have a legit fourth starter, which I'm pretty sure is going to come back and haunt the Phillies World Series. But you thought you had a solid fourth starter in Clev. Then the end of the season comes by. His velo's down. Sean Manaea goes. I don't even know what happened to that guy. His velo goes down. Both of their velos go down. Both of their off speeds start to collapse. And you just realize you're putting them out there just to try to save the bullpen innings. And you're probably losing those games. Your team comes out and puts up 4 runs in the first inning, game 4. You realistically probably should win that game. You struck first. You got to that guy. You got him out of the first inning, I think, with 1 out. You hand the ball over to Clev. He lets up 3 runs and doesn't get out of the first inning. I don't even think he recorded an out. That is where things go downhill really quickly. Instead of going 2-2, you go down 3-1 because you don't have a legit fourth starter. And then the guy that came in afterwards to try to pitch 2 innings, Manaea, he shits the bed too. You didn't have a guy that can go multiple innings. The guy that was the 5th starter earlier in the season, you put in a bullpen role, and he was really succeeding in that role. So you don't stretch him out, and he probably should have been the guy that pitched that game. Nick Martinez went, was it 2 or 3 innings? If he was completely stretched out the entire season, you probably put him there, and it's a completely different story. But that's not what happened. So we can scratch this season up. We get Tatis back next year. We get some more power back. We got to go shopping for a first baseman, possibly a left fielder. Hopefully Suarez and Nick Martinez stay opt in. Don't know what's going to happen with Myers, Drury, or Bell. They're all set to hit the free market. Profar might opt out, so you're going to be looking for a center fielder, left fielder, first baseman, and some pitching. So do you have your eyes on anyone?
No, I mean, I don't really want to have my eyes on anyone yet. I think the season is so fresh. It just ended, and I don't really want to look too deep into, and we'll have videos out pretty soon, but I can't really think of a guy off the top of my head. I think it's a lot harder than just saying this guy won't be here next year, this guy won't be here next year. I think there's a lot of things that are going to go into these decisions. It's not that easy to just say Trent Grisham won't be our center fielder next year. Ha-Seong Kim won't be our shortstop. Jurickson Profar, reasonable. He might legitimately opt out. But guys that are actually under contract, I feel like it's a lot harder to say things are for sure, where I'm not the biggest Trent Grisham fan, but there's kind of 2 sides to it. You have an amazing glove out there in center field, but you suck at the plate. And it seems like the Padres are intent on this guy can be fixed. We can do something to get this guy out there and be the caliber player we think he can be. On the other side, he struggled for so long that we don't know what to expect from him. Ha-Seong Kim, he's had a great season, but there's a guy coming in that is quite frankly a superstar. So I think there's a lot going into this season, going into this 2023 season that isn't going to be answered for a while. But there's just a lot of factors that are going to go into some of these decisions. And I think we just got to be patient in terms of trying to figure this all out. But yeah, I mean, I don't really want to place the blame on anyone as far as the series goes. Yeah, Bob Melvin didn't manage the best, but are you gonna tell me that Jace Tingler and Andy Green would have gotten here without Fernando Tatis? No, definitely not. That's an easy no. I've seen people saying fire Bob Melvin. Why? Why? You gave him a season. If he ends up being like people were saying, he reminds me of Dave Roberts. Dude, Dave Roberts has had 8 to 10 chances to do this, and he hasn't done it. This was Bob Melvin's first chance in a Padres uniform. Give it time. Like, it's just unfair what I've seen.
Yeah, and having a revolving door at manager never helps anyone.
Yeah,
you can look at the Padres for that. And realistically, Bob Melvin's probably the best manager out there. You don't get Bruce Bochy back. Bruce Bochy's gone to the Rangers, so who else would you go for? I know I've said Ron Washington in the past, but you got to stick for a guy for at least 2 seasons, unless it's Tingler. You could probably tell after 1 season with it. Well, that was 2020. Second season, yeah, Tingler needed to go. So usually you give a guy 2 to 3 years. And realistically, Bob Melvin was expecting to have Tatis back in the lineup. Tatis didn't come through at all this year. You trade for a new team. You trade for Soto. You traded away a few guys. You have a lot of guys coming in. There was a lot of time to gel. They were playing selfish baseball and everything. It's just one of those things where it just needed time to gel. You need time to get there. The team's going to be better next year because people are going to be coming back. Everyone's going to have time to gel together. We're getting Tatis back. Hopefully, we get a couple more starters. Hopefully, we can develop a few guys. I think that's going to be the one thing that we really need to pay attention to in the future is, all right, can we stop please trading for people and develop the guys through our own farm system? Because trading for new people every single year doesn't build a team.
Yeah. Nothing much more to really say. I mean, I thought it was a successful Padres season. I thought it was a successful Padres postseason. One of the more absurd things was people were kind of criticizing Manny Machado for not doing things that Bryce Harper did in the postseason. And, the postseason is a type of thing that where it's won by your stars. It is won by your stars, but Manny Machado is not a star to be criticized because he performed like a star in the postseason. But Harper's just in his bag right now, man. I mean, Harper, he has 6 home runs or something so far this postseason, a few doubles. He's doing things that Hall of Fame type players do. This is where legends are made, and he's turning himself into that. Unfortunately, it came against us. That's what sucks, is that it came against us. But he did it. He's been doing it all postseason. That guy's he's turning himself into one of the bigger names baseball's ever seen. Soto, I think his struggles were kind of getting maximized a little bit. They were, but they weren't as big as we made it seem. He was very good with burners on. He hit very, very good with guys on, and he was able to bring in a lot of guys throughout this postseason. And he hit a few bombs against Philly. But other than that, man, I don't know how much else I have to say. We're going to talk about it much more. This is kind of just talking about Game 5, and we wanted to kind of clear up that we thought Suarez was the guy in there. And, it's all a matter of opinion. If you think Hader should have been in there, yeah, I understand. I can see how that could be justified. But when I look deeper into it, I look into the stats and I see Suarez threw a good pitch. He threw a pitch that was advantageous, that would have been advantageous to him almost all season. And I mean, Bryce Harper, and not to mention, he took that one changeup down in the zone. that everyone was saying, dude, how did you take that? Because quite frankly, most guys are going to swing at that because it started in the zone and just fell right down. But he made a good pitch, and Bryce Harper just had a good piece of hitting, man. So um, hats off to the Phillies. Congratulations. I'm happy that you guys get to go to the World Series. I'm even more sad that my team doesn't get to go to the World Series. But I truly, I mean, I had a blast this season, man. I had so much fun. I couldn't have asked for more, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, and realistically, even if we made it to the World Series this year, I don't think anyone's beating the Astros. I don't think so. I mean, they swept the Yankees, and the Yankees were supposed to be one of the best teams in the AL. They got the pitching to go for it, and they got the offense to match. So I think, I'm taking Astros in 5. I think the Phillies can take game 1 just because of Wheeler, but it's going to be Wheeler versus Verlander. I don't really want either team to win, but the Astros are that team.
Yeah. I don't know if you got anything more to say, man. I mean, we're probably going to make a video on the postseason in general because it was a very fun postseason that ended in heartbreak, and we do want to kind of talk about it a little more because it deserves it. I mean, this was the third best run in Padres history. You got the 1984 World Series, the 1998 World Series, and you got these 2022 San Diego Padres, where they were able to slay the dragon up north and beat the New York Mets, who, I mean, come on, we knew we were going to beat them. They suck. Yeah, it was a very fun season where a lot of ups and downs, and I'm just proud of how far they came considering what happened throughout the year. Like I said, most teams fold if they lose a guy like, most managers fold if they lose a guy like Fernando. Our past managers definitely fold if they lose a guy like Fernando. Fun season. Manny Machado kind of proved that he kind of deserves the statue. I mean, he had one of the best seasons ever in Padres history. Put the team on his back, and that's everything that we've wanted ever since I've started my life. I mean, that's the kind of guy I've wanted to be, a San Diego Padre. He was everything for us, and we got a solid little trio, and Soto, Machado, and Tatis coming soon. But Chase, I don't know if you got anything left to say. No, cool. So probably gonna end it. Like I said, we'll probably talk about it more. Just wanted to kind of come on here and clear some things up, give our takes on Suarez, Hader, Trent Grisham. Not even something we left out, but not putting in Alfaro for Nola. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have happened for the Padres that didn't. But at the end of the day, it was a successful season, and we can't really dwell on what happened. We just got to be happy that it happened. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you guys soon.